I fucking hate games journalists. What is up, everybody? I'm TheDarkSeraph, and I'm reacting to another article today, and it's not good. 2025 belongs to the worst gaming mechanic ever invented by Andrew King of The Gamer. Andrew King is a famous editor at The Gamer. He has been working as a journalist since 2016, I noticed, and is a museum caretaker in his spare time. I think he should stick to caretaking. He loves immersive Sims, RPGs, and David Lynch movies. What do you mean by RPGs and what do you mean by immersive Sims? That's something I would like to know. So, let's talk about this. I have a love-hate relationship with parrying. Back in July, I wrote about how the best games of 2025 so far have forced me to accept parrying could be fun. And I talked about how I had mostly gotten on board with it. There were still wrinkles. I had issues with the combat system in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, for example. Note, parrying should be seasoning, and that a game is so parry heavy, it's like making a soup exclusively out of bay leaves. Parrying is a defensive counter. And if you're playing a game like Kingdom Come Deliverance, and some other examples that will come up later in the article, that heavily use parrying as a mechanic, why would you engage with something that you do not like? If you don't like parrying as a mechanic, that's fine. I don't really care that much. But at the end of the day, if you don't like it as a mechanic, why on God's green earth would you play a game with that as a mechanic? To quote my friend Threadnought here, it's okay to not like parrying, but if you do, don't go into games you know that have that particular mechanic and demand it to be changed. If you don't like parrying, don't play games with parrying. It's really that fucking simple. But I found myself enjoying the parry-inclusive combat of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and Doom the Dark Ages. 4 months later, I'm ready to admit that I was wrong. I am so sick of parrying that I would rather avoid the mechanic entirely from here on out. Then don't fucking play games with them. And you were wrong about parrying being enjoyable. Get bent. You already know my bias towards Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I fucking love that game. It is my game of the year, and if it doesn't win game of the year, I am going to tip something over. Jeff Kelly, something getting tipped over lies entirely on your shoulders, so don't snub it. Parrying has slowly lost me. I don't think it ever had you to begin with. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 might be the best game I've played this year. I say might because despite the opening hour being the most transcendently great thing I have experienced in a game in a long time, I still haven't finished it. I hit a fight where I needed to dodge and parry like my life depended on it. Set it down, and I haven't gone back. I still want to because everything I played up to that point was incredible, but only if I can get my timing down. That's kind of the whole thing with Expedition 33. You can't just face tank damage and rely solely on healing. You have to read the attack patterns. You have to read the tells. You have to get a feel for how the game actually plays. I'm not going to throw shade at other RPGs right now because that isn't exactly a fair thing to do, but this isn't like Final Fantasy. It's more like Mario and Luigi, where you have to read the enemy attacks and counter them accordingly. But if Clair Obscur was the only speed bump, I think I'd still be on board with parrying as a whole. I don't believe you. It's really fun to send projectiles flying back at enemies in Doom the Dark Ages, and I haven't changed my mind about that. The window is forgiving enough that it adds interest to the combat without ramping up the frustration. Get fucking good. But Ghost of Yote has been my breaking point. More like Ghost of Yo Time to Parry. Okay, look, I don't have much interest in Ghost of Yote because of the actress is a cunt and the developers are cunts. The development team actually celebrated and praised the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to go into that here today, but what I am going to say is if you celebrate political violence against people, whether you agree with them or not, you're a piece of shit. That's all I'm going to say on that. You're a sociopathic, possibly psychopathic piece of shit. Anyway, I like Sucker Punch's latest, but the combat is so block and parry heavy that it's giving me flashbacks to Assassin's Creed 2. The open world sequel is a great game, but one with a combat system that revolved around waiting, a whole lot of waiting for your enemy to attack so you could parry it, waiting for the moment that you could attack where they won't parry it, always waiting. Get fucking good. The whole point of Assassin's Creed combat is to make you feel like a power-happy badass. Know your fucking inputs. Know the mechanics of the game you're playing. If you know the mechanics of Assassin's Creed, then you can chain so many attacks together where your enemies are just decimated by your you're just completely decimated. I lost my train of thought there for a minute, but the point remains that when you get the hang of the Assassin's Creed combat down, the real Assassin's Creed, everything before Origins, once you get that down, it is a fucking free flow, and it is satisfying to pull off. Assassin's Creed 2 Assassin's Creed 2's combat was bad, and I'm frustrated by how much Yote seems to be following its lead. The thing that makes stealth games work well is that they balance the strategic and impulsive. Those long moments waiting in the bushes to line up perfect assassinations, and that fast plunge into the fray. In Ghost of Yote, both sneaking and swords feel like they are held back to waiting. You wait to get a quiet kill, or go loud and wait for a bunch of dudes to run up so you can parry them. Okay, when it comes to stealth games, there's a lot of fucking waiting. That's why I'm not particularly good at stealth games, because I'm impatient. I'm an impatient motherfucker. So I actually do struggle with stealth games from time to time, purely due to my own impatience. You can't sit there and say Assassin's Creed feels good with its stealth mechanics when Assassin's Creed has a whole lot of fucking waiting around and striking at the right moment. You know, kind of like parrying an incoming attack. With Ghost of Tsushima, I haven't played Yote, with Ghost of Tsushima, you had blue and red tints saying what you could and could not parry. You had to read the enemy's attacks and react accordingly. You are playing a sword fighting game. You are going to have parrying. That's the nature of the fucking game, you stupid cunt. It's just kind of boring, and it's the last thing a samurai game should be. The addition of enemies that can knock your sword out of your hands makes the game especially frustrating at times. I'm still fairly early in Yote, but the game has me longing for a game like Bloodborne, where a hit is guaranteed to hurt you or your opponent. I seriously doubt this person has ever played Bloodborne. I'm not going to say they've never played it, but I doubt that they did play it. Because they're a games journalist. I don't want parries to disappear. Games should be big enough to include all sorts of game design decisions, even ones that absolutely aren't for me. But if AAA gaming could cool it on the parrying for a year or two, I might eventually be ready to give it another shot, let's say sometime in 2028. Now that's the end of the article. A lot of things to unpack with this. First of all, you're a fucking retard. You went into a game you knew to have parrying, and you're bitching that it has parrying. That'd be like me going into Final Fantasy VII and complaining about the materia system. This would be like me going into Call of Duty and complaining that there's a first-person shooter. It's fucking retarded. You do not go into a game you know to have a particular mechanic and then bitch about the mechanic. You chose to play the game. You choose the buttons you press. You choose how you spend your money and your time. Just like I chose to spend my time bitching about a badly written article from The Gamer. Andrew King, you're a dumbass.